the federal government first unveiled its wage subsidy for businesses caught in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was 10%. That was not enough for many businesses to keep employees on staff. Having raised it to 75%, there is evidence that businesses that can are bringing employees back. One of them is retailer Indigo. Its founder and CEO, Heather Reisman, joins us now. Thanks for being with us, Heather.
Hi.
So I wanted to start with that decision to bring people back. Not an easy one, I imagine, because your sales no doubt have fallen precipitously. So it's not as though you're dealing with, a ton of cash flow. Why was it important to rehire where you could?
Well, we are very keen to keep our leadership staff fully engaged with us. This is an incredible group of people. In fact, that's how we feel about everybody in Indigo, as you know. So this program from the government was really a fantastic program. It is a fantastic program. And my hope is that they recognize it has to be kept beyond the June 1st date.
And what do you mean by that? How long should it be in place?
Well, it's a function of how long we're required to stay closed. You realize that Indigo, like all retailers in the non-essential group, that is those retailers who were forced to shut down, that we have now been fully closed since March the 15th. Every week we're closed is millions of dollars. So the impact on the company while we're closed, and then of course, we can't anticipate that the day we open, business just bounces back to normal. I've been heading up a group of many retailers to understand the full impact, and we anticipate that given how long it's been just until now, it will be post-Christmas before business comes anywhere near back to normal, which gets us back to why is it important to have the support on employees. And by extension, there are a number of other things that are going to have to happen. Because when you think about businesses that will be severely impacted for months, I mean, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Let's talk about that then, Heather. Some of the other things, what would be on the list of things that should, and that's an important point to just reiterate, you're not just talking, for the next few weeks, you're talking about until we get whatever normal starts to look like. What's on that list?
Of what we need help with? Well, we're definitely going to need help with rent. Rent is a major component of cost. If you realize that for any given retailer, this has not only knocked out their profits. Amanda, the best way to explain this is if a 10% drop in sales, that's usually enough to knock out most or all of their profits. If they have a 50% drop, you're talking about massively cleaning out whatever's on the balance sheet and maybe even affecting loans. So we're talking about huge damage to retailers. So we are going to need help with employees. We are going to need help with rent. And there's a point I want to get across. I can't help but want you and your viewers to understand this. The non-essential, what's called non-essential, right? Because we're closed. The non-essential retail sector accounts for 1.5 million jobs directly in the Canadian economy. But by extension, we're the ones who pay a significant amount of the property tax that supports our cities. And that's to say nothing of the suppliers we support and the creatives and the advertising. So this is a big, important industry in Canada. And we are really brought to our knees by this.
So give me a sense, we've seen obviously that those with online presence are at least better off, which Indigo certainly has. How much are you able to transfer that revenue? What are you seeing by way of kind of improving your business on the one side? Won't make up obviously for having your retail stores closed, but what is the mitigating factor from online?
Right, well, for us, we've seen terrific growth in online. So even at 300% growth online, our online relative to our total, when you do the math, that means we're doing about 40% of our business online. But for us, a lot of online business is not money-making business because of the demand for us to sell books at deep discount. Now, for others, if they can get 40% of their business online and they're together on margin. That's a bit better. But still, 40% of your business, it's so little compared to what you would expect when you're open. So yes, it is a chance to interact. I will say the more Canadian consumers support their omni-channel retailers, the better. So it's great. It's great that we can deal with them, but it doesn't come close to addressing the tens of millions of dollars that every retailer who has multiple stores is going to lose. And even for retailers in smaller businesses, this is just brutal, brutal.
I do want to ask, we've only got a few seconds here, Heather, but your foundation, the Love of Reading Foundation, actually announced $1 million in support of materials for vulnerable communities. Why was that important to do right now in the midst of all of this?
It was really important. Luckily, this was money we had in the kitty that we had committed to it from Indigo a couple of months ago. And then, of course, it's also supported by our customers. So we had this money. We normally wouldn't be distributing it right now, but we felt it was unbelievably important to make this donation and reach kids who are always more vulnerable, even when they're in school. But now that they're at home, these are kids, many of whom don't have a lot of books at home and creative and educational things. So this is a hugely important to us to be able to do this, and by extension to these families. So thanks for asking.
All right. We really appreciate your time today, Heather.
Okay, great.
Heather Reisman is the CEO of Indigo.